This video concerns a 30 to 35-year-old magnolia tree, which I've been pruning for over 30 years. I had to prune this tree because when it was planted under a huge 300-year-old oak tree. And what happens if you plant a tree under a shade tree, and this yard has about 60 mature trees, maples and oaks. If you plant a young tree, what will happen? The tree will shoot up very quickly, and once it reaches the boughs of the bough branches of these large shade trees, it will die, and die from the top down. Thus, having learned this, I knew I had to prune any tree I planted. And this magnolia, I pruned at a very young age. At about the 5-foot level, I started to prune it. And I have been pruning it for over 30 years. Each year I prune it. And that's the necessity once you top a tree. Because a magnolia is meant to grow 25 feet. And to make sure it stayed alive, I kept it well below the branches of the oak above it. It got just enough sunlight to be vibrant and to flower every year. And you never prune a deciduous tree, one that has leaves that falls in the fall, in the spring. Never prune any deciduous tree or plant in the spring. You can only do so in the summer and the fall, and even in the winter. But you just don't do it in the spring, and especially before it flowers. So this is just an example of keeping a tree alive. But there's a cardinal rule you never top a tree, because it deforms, it creates disease, etc., etc. A tree is meant to grow to pinnacle shape, but in certain cases you can top it, but you're going to have to prune it every year. And I've done this with birch trees and crabapple trees, because I've witnessed for myself that if you don't do it, it will grow tall, straight as an arrow, and then die from the top down once it hits the lower branches of shade trees. And this is all about planting under shade trees.